Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Adobe Live. My name is Voodoo Val, and I am super excited to be here, to be hanging out with my friend Kladi. Kladi, how are you doing today?
I'm very excited to be here, and I'm very excited to share this stream with you, Val, and welcome everybody.
Yeah, it's so fun. I feel like it's been too long since we've been jamming and grooving on a stream together, so I'm very excited. Welcome everyone who's popping into the live chat. If you folks are watching over on YouTube, please head over to behance.net/live, because that is where Claudia and I are going to be reading the chat. It's going to be where we are hanging out, where the party's happening, so head on over. And for those of you who are on Behance, let us know where you're tuning in from, where you folks are at, what you're working on, all that good stuff. Today's going to be pretty great. We are diving into a Pride Week, which is really fantastic here on Adobe Live. We're going to be celebrating creativity for all, from the LGBTQ plus community and allies. It's going to be amazing. If you folks did not catch the stream that was on just before us, however, please remember you can always come back to watch this stream and any other stream via replay, either here on Behance or over on the YouTube. If you just scroll down below the video player, all of them are organized, categorized there for you to check out. But if you'd like to go back and watch Torin from Kessa Design, just head down there, check out his streams and all that good stuff, and stay tuned because we've got a bunch of other things happening for the rest of the week here. But without further ado, let's dive into a little bit about you, Kladi, what you do, what you're going to be working on. I know a lot of folks love and know you here on Adobe Live, but for those who are new, maybe popping in and have never seen you before, who are you? What are you about? What's your favorite flavor of pizza? What's your favorite pizza topping? Got to know the good stuff.
I think that's a great start, Val, because I would like to start by saying that I'm an Italian designer, so pizza is the thing in every sauce, as you prefer. Although I do live in Manchester, UK, so I did start. Actually, let's share my screen so I can jump right into a little intro that I've shared before, but I think is a good recap for those of you that are joining us for the first time. As Val said, I'm here very often. I have the pleasure and the honor to host many Adobe live stream with a very talented people. I think me and you, Val, stream at least one more time together. We're doing some very cool Stranger Things fan art. But here it is. That's where it all started. So that's a picture of me that I think that encapsulates and just tells you everything. I like to play with colors. That's who I am. And I like to have fun. So that's a picture of me, and that's how I started my career as graphic designer. No, I'm just joking.
This is first day on the job right here. This is what it was like. Yeah.
But that's part of the process, and that's why I like to share this photo. I think is a good laugh, but also I just think, keeping that spirit is also very important, no matter where you are in your career, in your work. A little bit of about where I'm from. I'm from the south of Italy, so if you know, Italy is shaped like a boot, and I'm at the very, very tip of the hill, which is literally located in front of Greece. So that's the place where I'm from. And the reason why I like to share that is because that has a great influence. Although I left my hometown very young and I started to study up to America, and then I travel in different places around the world. But I think that the brightness of the sunshine of the south of Italy really has a great influence and a great impact in my work, in the bright color that I use. And I'm so happy to be here to celebrate Pride Week here at Adobe Live, so we can have this explosion of color in the screens. We can bring it to everybody, screen and door virtually. And of course, we're going to be here together to work in Illustrator. So let's jump real quick. Again, I come from a PR background, so I like to share this slide not only to show you the difference between the life that was for me daylight in the UN and during the night painting trains and graffiti, but I like to share this story whenever I have the chance to reintroduce myself, because I really want to, welcome anyone. And no matter what you're doing right now, no matter what your job is, if your dream and if you have any desire to get your hands full of colors, you can do so with these amazing apps. You can start creating. We will create today literally by using shapes. So you do not need to be an illustrator. I wasn't even a graffiti artist. I just used walls as a big canvases to learn how to express myself, although my daily job was very, very different, as I used to work in communication and marketing. And again, from there, I just started to develop and follow my dreams. So passion, determination, those are the only skills that you really need in order to then get started with this job. And let's actually jump into that's a little bit shout out. I wanted to give a shout out to the amazing ladies. Yes, I found this collection of images. So those are some of the stream actually when we were in San Francisco with also our amazing Paco, which is here with us behind the scene, making sure we look pretty here and everything runs smooth. And so many other amazing ladies that are streaming with alongside with you, Val. We have Kathleen and Catherine Hart, Jasmine and Ari, Julia, many others that I also know here. So a big shout out to Adobe Live because I've been here for about 2 years. And also real quick, I do training for the House of Representatives at Washington, DC, which is very exciting. This year was the 4th year that I was lucky enough to go back and visit.
Wow.
Actually in person, which is super, super exciting. I just got back about a month ago. So I think it's very exciting to share this experience to see, from a wall, from a completely different career, you can literally reinvent yourself. And if you learn how to use these apps correctly, you end up creating cool stuff like this, which is what we're going to be doing today. And today we're going to be focusing more in transforming. And by the way, I want to prove you that I don't know how to draw really, because those are my sketches. I know that I have
those sketches I think are cool. I like them. You're being too hard on yourself. These are excellent. They read. I can read them from afar. I like them.
See, that's the thing. So you can literally start from something like that. That was my concept. And I'm not shy to show you. They are not perfect at all. This is me playing with color. And my goal is to decide how to transform our pride flag into something that will add a little bit more of an illustrative feel and can be also, give us a little bit more of creativity in the way that we communicate the pride flag and these beautiful bright colors. And also to create what is going to be the output of our project, which are Instagram stickers that everybody can use. In fact, if you stick with us, by tomorrow, I will be able to share the file with you. So you'll be able to use this one that we created together. But also, I'm very happy for you to maybe just start to play around with the one that I've created that we're going to be creating together. I think that is important to see how someone that is a little bit of experience, maybe like yourself or maybe more than yourself, works and organizes that file. And I used to get my hands when I was just starting as well into other people's files just to deconstruct them and see. And I realized, so you can group stuff like that, and just literally by tearing apart and destroying other people's work, I learned more about how to use the app. So I'm going to make this file available, both the AI, then the Illustrator file, and the final PNG that you can then use as stickers. We're going to see how to do that. And tomorrow we're going to jump into Photoshop to also decide what to animate, how to animate in order to create some little videos or some GIFs that we can also use as animated stickers. So that's the plan.
Ooh, that sounds amazing. And these, I would love to know, just like all of you folks in the chat, just right off the bat, because I'm pumped for this because these look so good. I think so far my favorites have got to be the rainbow and like the love portal there. Those are so cool. Like I want to own them, and I hope that we could get these as stickers one day because they're perfect. So let us know in the chat which ones are your favorite, and let's dive into it, Kladi. I'm so excited to get going here and see how to do this.
So everybody's loving the portal of love. I'm so happy. So Val, I'm going to give you the choice of the first one, of which you start with, and then we can give, in the meantime, the chat to choose the second one. I know that we usually do our poll, but today we can just chill and relax.
I know. I'm not the mod. I'm not the mod today, so I'm not going to be making polls, but maybe we'll recruit Cody. She has no idea, but maybe we'll end up recruiting Cody for polls, but if I get to choose, I choose the portal.
Okay.
I would love to see the portal. Specifically, I'm very curious about how you actually did the colors sort of blending together in the center there. I'm very intrigued and was just thinking to myself, I wonder how she did that. So I'm excited. Let's dive into that one.
And tomorrow we're gonna make it rotate. So the portal is gonna become like a real
amazing.
Yes.
Magic, yes. Design magic. Let's go for it.
Perfect. So I'm gonna just start from scratch. So from a very let's just go into the welcome screen, because I just want this stream to be accessible for everybody, either if you're a beginner or if you use Illustrator. So I'm just gonna try to break it down from the very first steps, and then try to bring it into the most cool tips. So as I said, if you're a beginner, don't worry, I'm just gonna try to break it down. You have the live chat, as Val said, on behance.net/live. She can pass me, feel free to interrupt me at any time to pass me any questions. This is a safe space, so feel free to ask me anything about the creation of these illustrations. And again, if you are a pro, if you know to use Illustrator, those could be great portfolio pieces. So stick around and make sure to let's work together in order to make it happen. In order to get started, click on the new new file, or it used to be new document, or click on the Command and Control N to open the new document panel. Here, one of the most important things to understand are the intent tab located at the top. And I'm going to zoom in so you can see here. The intent tab will allow you to automatically create some settings. So to allow Illustrator to prepare the file so it's fit for purpose. I always tell everybody whenever I'm starting a new project, remember, think at what is the end purpose of your document. That will allow you that will help you so much to create a file right away from the get-go that is prepared and ready. So when you're going to have to export it, you don't have to work around and make sure if you're using the right colors or if that's the right resolution. Nope, we do that with one click from the beginning by choosing the right intent. We know that we're going to be creating files for the web, and therefore, because those are Instagram stickers, so anything that is displayed on screen. So we can go ahead and click on web. And you can see right away that in the preset details, we have the units that will change from millimeters into pixels. And here also we have the color mode that swapped into RGB, which is red, green, and blue. Color mode standard for screen, raster effect 72 ppi. You can also switch for a medium of 150. That's completely up to you. That's a retina display. And you can go ahead and dive into more settings if you want to learn more about the different settings. Although for us, that's pretty much what we need to do here. As you can see, we have a lot of settings which are mirrored inside the more settings one is more something that I usually tend to look at when I'm creating file for print. So for now, we're just going to ignore it. Make sure to name your file. I'm going to call it Instagram Pride Stickers. And
or you could do what we do, and that is untitled_1 copy final. That's like the meta title for
I do these very cool things in which I actually try to remind others, but I always forget myself. When I name something, for me, it's almost as if I've saved it. So I usually name it and I'm very precise, and then I close and I don't save the thing.
I always try to make sure to save. Like a tip for all of you folks, as soon as I open a new file, even if it's blank and I haven't worked at all, I save a version of it just so that I know I can Control S throughout my workflow, and I never have to worry about it. But I have done that where I name it and then I don't save it.
It just gives it the feel that you're doing something with the actual file. But at the moment, we're just, just giving the general settings here. So although we have named the files here, it doesn't really matter the size of the artboard. Although if you want to be precise, usually the perfect size for your Instagram stickers is 500 by 600. This is the standard that we would like to use on average. As long as you don't go way more than that or way smaller than that, that is the suggested size to work with. So a width of 500 pixel and a height of 600. We're going to be a little bit flexible with that. We're going to try to maintain a height that is the same throughout our illustrations. And then we can see how we can move around and maybe create stickers that have different parts that we can put together at the same size. But let's go ahead and click on create. And as I said, although I've named my file and you can see that the file here has its name, it's not saved yet. So as Valdo suggested, let's go ahead and do it right away. Command S on a Mac, that will be Control S on a Windows machine in order to bring up the save document. Now, up to you if you want to save your document on your computer, or if you want to use the superpower of Creative Cloud, which will allow you to save your file, access your history, work online and offline, moving between your iPad and your PC flawlessly. In just a second, you will see all your documents that are there, and also you'll be able to collaborate with this wonderful feature. So I'm going to go ahead and actually save it to my Creative Cloud, which will also allow me to share my document with you once we're going to be done. Perfect. So here we now have these artboard. We just have one artboard to start, which is completely fine. I tend to create a larger artboard in general, which is my messy artboard. So in order to access the artboard tool, you can use the shortcut. Shortcuts are gonna rain on you today because I love to use shortcuts. I almost say that, working on an app is like playing the piano, because I'm always there with my clickety clackety keyboard. And although if you are not, if you do not want to use shortcut, that's completely up to you. You always have the opportunity of using our wonderful toolbar, which has all the tools that I'm going to be mentioning. So I'm also going to show you what the tools looks like here on the toolbar. So the, as I say, the artboard tool will allow you not only to select the artboard that is already active, but you can go ahead and create new artboards anywhere inside your document by clicking and dragging. So here, as you can see, I'm doing a mega gigantic artboard, which is going to be my work in progress. This is going to be the messy place where we can have fun and create different bits and pieces, and that we're going to be using for our final. Perfect. Now, the next step for me will be to jump into my layers. If you see me talking about layers or any other panel that doesn't appear on your screen, on your workspace, you can find your panels under the window menu. So if you click on window, under the window menu, you will find many different terms that are basically the little tag, the little names of the panels that if you want to click on them, you will see they will appear inside your workspace. So if you do not see a workspace and hear what I'm working, probably going to be mentioned many different ones. Remember, window, and then choose the appropriate name in order to have the workspace pop up. And something very cool about workspace, do you work with a personalized workspace, Val, or you just tend to use essentials?
Oh yeah, totally. I have, because I usually work in Photoshop, but I do work with a personalized workspace. Just I have visible all of the panels and things that I use most often. And then I also have it working just because, I've seen people do it rather they're left or right-handed so they can reach everything. And then I too am a connoisseur of hotkeys and shortcuts. So it's fun. And it's also great. I feel like I encourage everyone, and I'm sure you do too, to jump into that drop-down window and experiment with opening up maybe some windows you've never seen before and move them around and see if something feels better for you, because it really does help the workflow. So big advocate of customizing your workspace, 100%.
As you can see, I have just in case of a crisis of an identity, I have I am Kladi,
nice.
Kladi 3D.
Just in case you forget. Yes.
Just in case I forgot my name. But you can go ahead and see that if you click on what is called the workspace switcher button located at the very top of your option bar here in Illustrator, you will be able to access many different preset workspace. So we have many group of, let's go ahead and click on, for example, layout. So whenever we click on a specific workspace preset, what happens is all our panels and tools will swap around. Also, the option panel will present different options in there. And this is just tailored in order to have the panels and tools that are most appropriate for a specific project. So Illustrator already comes with a set of workspaces that are there for you to narrow down and to explore, as Val was saying, different panels that will be more relevant for your work. Although once you start to get, to work and develop your style, and you know what are the panels that you work better with that makes more sense for you, because sometimes it's just about what makes more sense for you. That's what I always say with these wonderful apps. You can express yourself whatever way comes best for you. And that's why I love watching Adobe Live and being a host as well, because I see many different talented creatives do their own things in their way, and that's the beauty of it. You can tackle a project in many different directions. So what I'm here just offering and sharing with you my personal workflow. And in fact, I ended up creating my very own multiple workspaces depending on what I'm working with. So once you
Nikki
go ahead,
says, by the way, Nikki in chat says that she has Nikki 1, Nikki 2, and Nikki New. So I think she also, just in case she forgets her name, she does have the different workspaces named for her. And I do think that what you said about, everybody kind of has their own way of working, and so many different people have like a variety of different work ways that they go about. I think that's really important, because when I first started, and maybe some of you are the same, you kind of read or go watch a tutorial and you assume that if one person is doing it a certain way, that that's the way you must. But I feel like it's also just as valuable to find a way to do things that simply brings you joy while you're working, and that can be the right way for you.
So, and get you in the zone, because there are certain works, sometimes like I do things, that are not necessarily the most time-saving techniques, and I do not teach them to anybody, but they just get me in the zone. I can just literally go and dive in hours and just click at anchor points and triple click and just because it makes me happy, as you said.
Yep, I just like doing that way. So perfect.
So what I wanted to show here is, as I said, you can go ahead in the window menu and click on as many panel that you want to explore, and then you can just place it anywhere in the screen, left and right, or you can dock it on the side of the screen in order to make them part of your main workspace. And whenever you are done creating the perfect workspace for you, all you have to do is again click on the workspace switcher, and you will have the option to create a new workspace. All you have to do is to click on create new workspace here, and I'm just going to call this one test, just so I know that I can delete, test to delete, and then simply click on OK. Now, what I want to show you here is that not only you're able to access your workspace, but also whenever you start to work and things do get messy when we do work, so sometimes panel end up being all over the place here in our screen, you can always go back into the workspace switcher and then click on reset, whatever is the name of the workspace that you've selected, and everything goes back into place. So if you ever have to present your work, or you have a meeting, especially now that everything is like here on Zoom, you can, share your screen, and then suddenly maybe your screen looks very messy, your panels are all over the place, and you have a meeting with your clients or your art director, you can just simply click on reset and everything goes back, and it looks like you are the neat and organized person, because we can simply just click on reset and everything goes back into place.
Amazing.
So I like to share. Yeah.
Oh, ahead. Sorry. I'm just welcoming some folks into the chat, because we've had Tarcisio. I hope that I'm pronouncing that right. Tarciso. Okay, Tarciso, thank you.
Yes,
I definitely missed the mark on that one. I apologize. But Tarciso, thank you so much for coming in. It's good to see you. We've also had Annika pop in, and some folks earlier jumped in and said hello. Specifically, Kristen Driscoll, who said this was their first time coming in and seeing me on a stream, because I'm usually working behind the scenes or in the chat. So hello, Kristen. It's good to meet you and see you. Finally, thank you for joining us. And those of you who are just filing in, say hello, let us know where you're from, introduce yourselves, let us know what you folks are working on, and if you're going to be working alongside us today, that would be cool too. Don't be shy.
Yes. And I'm just going to go ahead and show real quick, since we've been a little bit doing an intro of Illustrator. This is what we're going to be creating right now. So we're going to go and dive into our portal of love. Yes. And the first thing that I'm going to be doing here actually is to jump into our file and start to collect colors. So something that I do, and again, it's probably not the best, color. And it's not the best, workflow, is to use screenshots. So I tend to use a screenshot that I take anywhere, maybe also from Pinterest. In this case, of course, this week and the entire month, we are focusing on creating art for our Pride Week. So, I just do a general research of Pride flag. And from there, we can just see all the wonderful Pride flags. And oops, let's go ahead and maybe we'll just find one on Etsy. But all I want to do here is just to literally grab a screenshot. So, you know, it's not necessarily a sophisticated way of grabbing colors. You can get an image from anywhere. You can get it from your phone. Again, what I do is just simply go on Google, go in any website that it could be Etsy, could be Pinterest, and just get an image that has a reference to whatever is the topic. And once it's good enough for me, I jump into color.adobe.com, and by heading into the extract theme. By the way, if you see things jumping around on my screen, that is simply my hot corners that are very active in my Mac. So anytime that I hit a corner, you will see my windows just moving away. Anyway, so if you head to color.adobe.com, this is one of the wonderful integrated service that will interact with our CC libraries, which are present in all our app. And if you select extract theme, you will be able to go ahead and select a file. In this case, I can just go ahead and select the screenshot that I've just taken from my computer, and then click on open in order to open the file. And then from there, we can just simply select the color that we would like to use using our little eyedropper or pointer. Look how beautiful they are. They allow you to really zoom in the image. So even if here we have the image that is looking like a bit small, I took a screenshot that probably was, you know, quite a large screenshot for we were working on. You will be able just real quick to get the main color palette that you're working with. And then here, if you click on the little plus icon located at the top right, you will be able to create a new library. So I'm going to call this library Pride 2022. And by clicking on create, you will be able to add this color theme. And then that doesn't finish there, because maybe if there are more colors that you would like to add, well, all you have to do is to make sure that you select the remaining color that you want to use. Here we go. Maybe we want to add this other purple. Maybe we want to, you know, get a little bit of a brighter red. And then again, all you have to do is to click on save in order to save the color palette to the specific library. I don't know if that actually, I did click save on the previous one. So I just want to make sure that I have all colors, and I'm going to click on save again. Now, once I head back into my Illustrator, all I have to do is to head to my libraries panel here. Again, if you do not see the libraries panel, it also lives under the Windows menu. You will be able to select the new library. As you can see, it wasn't there before, it's there now. It's called Pride 2022, and already magically contains real-time the color that we have selected. Now, because I want to really make sure to show you that this is not something that I prepared before, I'm just going to go ahead and head back into color.adobe.com, and I'm just going to go and select a different set of colors there. So I'm just going to choose a little bit of pink and purples, and I just want to make sure that I have other color which are different from the one we selected before. So we have some purples and yellow and blue, and I'm going to click on save. And as you can see, we have here a little message that tells us that the theme has been successfully been added. So we can now jump back into Illustrator, and boom, here it is. So every time that you do add a color panel to your library, that will be automatically added. And this is not only in Illustrator, that works also in any CC app that supports the Creative Cloud library panel in-app. So definitely will be for Photoshop, for After Effects, for InDesign. I'm not sure about the other apps because I don't use them very often, but I believe you could do so also in Premiere. And any other app. I know that Creative Cloud Express also has access to the library. So if you're working with a Creative Cloud Express, and maybe that's your way of exploring design, and you're starting just now and creating your graphic, you will be able to use color and then access the same color palette and do pretty much the same workaround within your CC library and Creative Cloud Express.
I used Adobe Express and CC libraries for the first time just this morning, actually, and it made it really, really awesome because it allowed me to kind of do like what you're doing here, is go gather all of my stuff and then bring it into my project. So I feel like CC libraries is like the unsung hero of
I love them.
Adobe in general. It's just great. It's just good.
That's
If you're not
another
using
thing
libraries,
that
you
I
should.
had to go ahead and clean up because I mean, I don't know if you want to see it now here. The number
My
of
libraries,
like,
I have so many,
never
Kladi.
ending.
Don't feel bad. I have so many. I have a never ending scroll as well. And I also had to clean up my libraries for stream sometimes because it's about as bad as my Photoshop layers, where I'm like, maybe I should put these in groups and make it look professional so no one sees like how messy it is. But yes.
Yes, and also libraries will allow you to store your content and share it and organize it. So they're absolutely great. In fact, if, for example, want to bring the image that we just shared so we can keep track of it. And as we said before, it was just a screenshot that is living now on my desktop. Here it is, the screenshot that I quickly took there. You can just simply click and drag it inside the library, and you will see that not only is stored there, so I can actually delete it from my desktop. So if I now go ahead and delete it from my desktop, I'm just going to go ahead and save myself space for my hard drive, and the image is still there stored in the cloud. And not only is stored there, but it's also organized. In fact, you can see that my files are split in between color themes and graphics. And one more thing before we dive into actual design, the CC libraries will allow you also to search new elements. So if we do now search the Adobe Stock library, another wonderful integrated service of our Adobe app, Adobe Creative Cloud, if we search Pride flag here inside Adobe Stock, we can see that we have the actual flag coming up. So we can go ahead and click on the plus icon to add it inside our library. And then if we go ahead on the filters, you can also, whenever we do an actual search, we will be able to narrow down our research either between photos, illustration. In this case, we just had vector selected. But if we actually select photos, we can have many different images that you can go ahead and add to your library and use as a reference. All you have to do is to click and drag in order to bring it inside your workspace, and they will have our Adobe Stock watermark until you decide to license it. But for now, as we did for our screenshot, we're not using these images for any purpose, if not just to reference in color. So we are okay without licensing for now. If you decide to use them for your clients or for your project, then please go ahead and make sure that you purchase any other stock that you'll be using from Adobe Stock or any other artist or maybe photographer that has provided for you.
We have a question coming in from Stony. The color theme, do you just use the eyedropper to choose them? You can't drag that in, right? And I believe what Stony's referring to is using those color palettes that you brought into your libraries, and you don't actually have to use the eyedropper to select those colors. You literally can just click them in the libraries.
Correct.
Which is really useful.
Whenever we have any shapes, I'm just going to show you real quick, and then we're going to actually use it into the final one. You can go ahead and just simply select on the shape and then click in the library in order to make sure that if you have your fill selected inside your fill and stroke control, make sure that your actual fill, which is the usually the white square when you are in the default color, is selected. You can go ahead and from your libraries click on any colors that you would like to use, and then you will be able to apply it right away. Then there is another useful. Yeah, super cool. Another workaround, if you wish maybe to just focus on your swatches and you want to get rid of the libraries panel, you can always go ahead and add any of the color themes that you have added to your libraries into your swatches by right-clicking on them. Make sure that you select the theme and not the specific color. Otherwise, whatever your mouse was, that's the only color that will be transferred into your swatches. But by selecting add a theme into the swatches, we will be able to add each one of these different themes that we have living inside your libraries. Now, as you can see, they also are being transferred into our swatches panel. So if you want to get rid of our libraries, as we want to focus on another panel, we want to make sure to use our workspace efficiently, you just bring it inside the swatches. But what if we're starting, for example, from an actual artwork? So let's see, this is the final artwork that we're looking to build now, and we want to use the color of this exact artwork. Well, the other workaround is to select your artwork and then click on the little folder that is located at the bottom of the swatches panel. Here it is. Make sure that your artwork is selected, and by clicking on new color group, you will be able to save the colors that belong to the specific art. So make sure that selected artwork is also ticked and click on OK, and you will see that now we have this color inside the swatches. But then We can do actually the opposite of what we've done. So we can actually bring this color from the swatches into the library as well. In fact, if we have our swatches selected and we click on add selected swatches to color groups to library, they will be able to add it to the library. Now we have this little error here simply because there are too many colors in the group. So in this case, probably what I will do is to simply create another folder and then delete some of the colors that we have there. Let's make sure that we deselect our little portal of love so we don't change its color. And you can go ahead and hold the shift key in order to select multiple colors. And once we have our color palette, we can go ahead and select it. And now let's go ahead and open the libraries panel. So we can see that by clicking on the add to library, in one click, now this new color group is also added to the library. So that works both ways, from library to swatches, from swatches to libraries.
Yeah, so not only, so this is the problem that I have sometimes, and you just blew my mind, Kladi. Oh my gosh. So you didn't just add colors to the library, but you made an actual swatch with all the 5 colors there that work like the ones you bring in from
the art.
Adobe Color. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yes. So you can do it both ways. You can do it from the Adobe Color to the libraries, or from Capture to the libraries to the swatches, and then vice versa from a graphic to the swatches to the libraries.
So when I use Photoshop, I add one color at a time, like adding foreground color or background color and things like that, and it just adds like the big tile of the one color. So that just changed my entire workflow, just so you know.
Good. Happy to help, but let's get started into the actual creation. As I said, this is the started, illustration. All you have to do is have a general idea on what you have to do. I knew that I want to do the portal with the magic swirly, and then this frame, which is very popular in nowadays illustration. So we have this arch that comes up. But the very first thing that I start is with, I really love to start with the simple shapes. So letter L for the ellipse tool, which you can also find under the rectangle tool located in the toolbar right here towards the top of the toolbar. You will see the rectangle tool. If you click and hold on it, you will be able to display the hidden tools. The ellipse tool is actually the second one. Shortcut for it is the letter L on your keyboard. Now click and drag in order to create an ellipse. If you wish to create a perfect circle, hold the shift key and automatically you will see that we create a perfect circle right there. Now, all we have to do, it doesn't really matter what color your circle is, another shortcut coming your way. If you just want to switch everything back to black and white, which is the default, the letter D on your keyboard will allow you to bring the white feel and the black stroke as per default. And then once we select our circle, all I'm left to do is to use the letter N to access our pencil tool, which is also located inside our toolbar and just looks like a little pencil. Now, before we get started with the pencil tool, I would like to double click on it for you to double click on it in order to see these little options here. I tend to work a lot on a laptop or with a mouse, although I do own somewhere in my studio a Wacom tablet. I do not have the time to use it very often in my setup. So I tend to use my pencil tool options right into that smooth. The reason is because my hands sometimes, especially with with the mouse, tend to be a little bit, with not very smooth edges. So I want to make sure that my lines are very smooth, and therefore I move my fidelity to smooth all the way to the right. You can move this slider between accurate and smooth, and I'm just going to bring you right away to accurate to show you that if I go ahead and draw, you will see every single time that my hand and my finger is moving around, is just creating an anchor point that makes it really, really heavy on your machine. The file just creates more information. While if I go back into my options here and move it back into our smooth all the way, and then let's go ahead and zoom in and do pretty much the same motion, you will see that we'll have a less anchor point. The line is much smoother than the previous one, and the curves are basically just more rounded. That's basically what it means. So now that we are working with our pencil tool, all we're left to do, again, the letter N is the shortcut that will bring up the pencil tool, is to select the circles, because I want to see where the center is. And I tend to work quite a lot when I'm creating shapes into outline mode. You can enter the outline mode by pressing the command Y, that will be Control Y on your keyboard. You can also head into view And make sure that you go in between preview, which is what I call normal view, or outline. The outline, it will get rid of any sort of effect or appearance applied, and it will just show you the shapes and the vector as they are. And that's pretty cool because we have things like centers that are also displayed for our shape. So now that I'm going to go ahead and press the letter N to draw my little squiggly line, I can then also aim to the actual center, or move it to the center if probably this swiggle is not probably the best swiggle that we can do. Let's redo it. You can select it and delete it if you wish to do so. Again, here we go. We can go ahead and move the squiggly line and then simply click on it and make sure that it hits our little center.
Nice.
If we do have our preview mode active, so again, Command Y or Control Y if you're working on window, you will see that you don't see the center there. So if we go ahead and create another squiggly line, yeah, it might be great, but we don't know where the center is. So once we go and move it, we don't know exactly how to move it. Although our amazing smart guides help us out, working in outline mode will allow us real quick to see where the center is, so we can just go ahead and place our little line into the center. And now let's go ahead and move forward, and I want to show you how you can create these perfect split into 6 areas. Now, the reason why I want to do 6 areas is because those are the main colors of our pride flag. You see we have our red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple, which are the main traditional colors. So I decided to use our portable love with the traditional color in the center, and then I've added the more modern color that also been added to the flag to our door, just to keep in consideration also the new colors within our portal. So let's go ahead and save. Looks like my computer is going a little bit slow.
A quick question.
Sure.
Just that Becca brought up, and I know this is kind of going back to the colors, but maybe once we start adding colors here, this is something that we can do. She asks, I believe themes can only be 5 colors though, right? And I'm wondering, can you add more than 5 or less than 5 to those color palettes, or are we able to have color palettes of different sizes in there that function like that?
So that's a very correct question. You do need to have 5 colors, although you can have less than 5 colors. You cannot have more than 5 colors.
Okay.
This is the reason why here into my swatches, you can see I had the need of duplicating these very long swatches, which was part of my main artwork. And what I've done is, again, just simply selected it and then click on the little plus icon in order to create a new swatches. And then, once you go ahead, in order to create a new folder, go ahead and create the new folder there. And then once you do add the color, you can just simply select them and holding shift by selecting the color that are missing for the specific one. And so basically just split them in group of 5 and then click and drag it into another folder. So, just looks like it went somewhere else. Click and drag it into the new folder. So now I swapped, I just simply, changed my theme from being 12 colors into 5. And now that I have the smaller option, I can just simply add it to my library, and here it is. Yeah, so we have 2 themes instead of 1.
And out of curiosity, what does it look like if you do it with less? It's just split up the same way, but not into 5?
So, let's do it. So if we do just 2 colors over there, and then we select and bring into the library, it just splits differently inside the library. So it just looks like that.
Very good to know. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go back and split now the circle. As I said, it's important to see, you can split in as many numbers as you want, but we know that the circle is made of 360 degrees. So very quick math, if we split it by 6, that will be a 60 degree. And the reason that we need that is because we're going to be rotating around the circle. So majority of people that try to do that, all they do is to hold the option key, create a copy, and then try to rotate it. And then once they rotate it, they move into the center. And then again, they try maybe to do a duplicate the same action over and over again. And that's going to take forever. And probably you're not going to create your 6 splits. So we like to work faster. So all you have to do here is to select your little wiggly line. What do you call it? Wiggly line or squiggly line?
I like squiggly line, honestly. I was saying wiggly line until I heard you say squiggly, and I think that's the word now that I'll be using.
Perfect.
I would like
we
to
create art and we
people,
create new words.
Vote in the chat if you're wiggly or squiggly. I'm going to need to know which you are. Okay, I'm going to need to know.
So now
squiggly.
we're going to go ahead and select the rotate tool, which is the magic tool that will allow us to create this rotation. And what you want to do here is hold the option key in order to create a new anchor for your rotation. You will see, and I'm going to try to zoom in as much as possible, that my little cursor there, once we press the option, has these 3 little dots, and it's basically saying us, where do you want me to place the origin of my rotation? So all I'm going to do here is to make sure that I hit the anchor, which I know that is aligned with my circle. As I said, I know that I want to split it into 6, therefore 60 degree will be the angle that I'm going to be using for my rotation. And make sure to click on copy, not on OK, because if you click on OK, you're just going to create, it's just going to move it, it's just going to rotate it. But if you click on copy, you're going to rotate it while at the same time creating a copy. And now that you've done one, all you're left to do is press the Command D or Control D in order to duplicate the last action, and boom.
Amazing.
Just pretty 2 minutes, maybe even less, we have created our rotation.
Very nice, very clean. And that's the thing, is I've tried to do it the way that you were talking about earlier, where I just duplicate and try to arrange them myself. But typically what happens is, even if you do actually get everything centered to that major center point, if you're just eyeballing it, you're probably going to have some slices that are different sizes than others, and it's just not as clean. So this is a great way to get a nice clean design.
And then, yeah, it becomes complicated when you start to cropping stuff around, because you have bits left over here and there. We've all been there. I've been there many times.
There. Yep, so, many times.
That's why I'm happy to share these techniques. Now, all you have to do is to click and drag in order to select both the squiggly lines or wiggly lines and your circle. And then we're going to leverage another powerful tool, which is located inside the Properties panel. Head to the window menu if the Properties panel is not showing up, so you can bring it inside and dock it next to your panels here, and you will find it right away when you select shape. The Pathfinder options will come up right away at the bottom of your properties panel. Here it is. It looks like different squares that are interacting with each other. The one that we're looking for is divide, because we're going to be dividing the shapes based on the line. So click on more option, and divide will be the first one. It shows you basically that, again, you are dividing the shape based on the path that you have selected. So by clicking on divide, again, super quickly, we already have the shapes divided there. Now, those will be grouped. If you want to ungroup it in order to select it individually, you can use the Shift Command, the G shortcut. That will be Shift Control G if you're working on Windows, or you can use another pretty magic tool, which is our group selection tool, which is nested under our direct selection tool, which is commonly called or refer to like the white arrow. So we have the white arrow plus, which is the cool version of the white arrow. They will allow you to do very cool things like selecting things that are grouped and that you otherwise will have to click and click again and click again in order to access in the isolation mode. So let's go ahead and do that again. If we use the normal selection tool and we click on the circle, you cannot select each part. But with our direct selection tool and actually our group selection tool, you will simply be able to click in any of the elements that belong to a group, and it will automatically allow you access to it because it has this superpower to do so. So we can now select, making sure that we have our fill selected into our shape. Again, as you can see, I'm toggling in between the fill and the stroke by using the letter X into my keyboard. I had my stroke at the top while I want to bring the fill at the top. So I'm going to use the shortcut X to swap in between them. And then all I have to do is either to use my libraries or my swatches panel in order to select the color. And again, I select the shape, and then again, you can use either the swatches panel, and I'm going to use 1 and 1 just because I like to do things like that. It'd be a weird way. And you can select any color you want. It doesn't matter whatever you're referencing from. You can simply go ahead and select your color. Now you can see that the red doesn't have the fill because I deleted it. If you want to delete the fill, just simply select the entire shape. I've used the direct selection tool for selecting each one of the shape. Now I can go back to the normal selection tool by pressing the letter V. And again, make sure that you select and you bring up your fill, your stroke control. And then another shortcut is the /, which will make whatever you have selected, either the fill or the stroke, back to transparent. So here real quick, we got rid of our stroke. And hopefully that was clear and easy enough for everybody. And all we have to do now is to mask part of our image inside our little window. So the next thing will be to use another very simple shape, which is our rectangle tool. As I said, you can find that inside the toolbar, or you can press the letter M in the keyboard and click and drag in order to create a rectangle. And then we're going to give these little corners at the top simply by clicking on the amazing corner widget. And those corner widgets are also something that you can access by double clicking on it. You will see that you have also access to specific detail that will allow you to have more control on the different radius, on the properties, if you want to scale it or not, or otherwise you can just simply select them by clicking on them. And if you want to select more than one, hold the shift key in order to add more than one widget to the selection, and then click inward in order to round your corners.
Ooh, see, I didn't know that, because I do like to use the just pulling in those fancy little brackets and rounding the corners, but I didn't realize I could snag the two corners at once and pull it in. I had just been going in, if I wanted to round one more than one corner, is doing it manually in the panel. So that's great to know. That's a little speedy pro
awesome
tip.
And also, I don't know if you know that, but if you double click on them and if you open the actual widget panel, here you can also choose the kind of corner that you have. So we can also have access to fancy corners.
Ooh.
So we also have inverted round or chamfer.
Can
so
we look at inverted round? Just
that's
so
just
cool.
Basically convex. Yes. Or we have this chamfer within this case, because of course we have both sides. It's just going to make our shape just go straight on top like that, which is super cool. If you're looking to achieve any specific shape, those are very quick workaround to change the way that your shapes looks.
Amazing.
From your corners. And that was just simple. I mean, that still is a rectangle. So that's the beauty of it, that you're still working with a rectangular shape, which is super, super nice. That's why those are called live shapes, because they are alive and they do magic things.
Yes.
Right. So now that we have our shape selected, what we're going to do is to learn how to create these different shapes that are basically like strokes that live outside. Now we have two workarounds. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and hold the Option key, that will be the Alt key on Windows, in order to create a copy. I'm going to click and drag into my little window, magic window, in order to create a copy. And then I'm going to show you one way and then the other. So the first one will be to using our amazing appearance panel. You can go ahead and choose Windows and then Appearance. If it's not already opened in your machine, looks like I already have it up here. I'm just going to bring it to the top. As I said, panels are going to get all over the place while we work. So once we bring up our appearance, we have here already one stroke. But what if I want to add multiple stroke, where you can add as many stroke as you want simply by clicking on adding new stroke. And all you'll have to do is to then change the color of your stroke. And especially if you want the stroke to show outside, you really want to align the stroke to the outside of your path. And that will allow to show your stroke outside the general other strokes that we're going to be piling up one on top of the other.
Awesome.
Now that works exactly like the layers panel. Things that are above will be displayed on top of anything that is sitting below. Therefore, I'm going to go ahead and have a sneak peek to the actual order of the color, because I don't remember it, but it's black, brown, cyan, and pink. So I'm going to go ahead and create multiple strokes here. Four in particular. The first one, as I say, is going to be black. The second one is brown. And by the way, once you click on the little icon that is for our stroke color, you can go ahead and open up your little swatches panel, which mirrors again the swatches. That's why it's so important to bring your libraries and your swatches at the same speed, so you can also access here the same color. So here we have access to the brown for our second color, and then we have the cyan color, and then we have the pink. So you can simply assign the color, although we are not seeing anything yet. I'm just going to go ahead and bring the pink here. And that's because all the stroke have the same point. So what we're going to do is to start by assigning a heavier weight. So the one that is going to be displayed outside at the back is going to be perhaps 60 point. Let's see how that looks like. And then we're going to layer up the second one. We're going to maybe make it 40. And then we're going to have the second one, which is our cyan. We're going to make it looking like 20. And as you can see, we're going to start to have all this color coming up. And if you want, this one can also be displayed inside, although because we're going to be creating a mask, I probably won't do that. So I'm actually going to go and bump that in between 80. And as you can see, the flexibility of these, you can go ahead and change it at any time. And I'm also going to show you how you can move them within the panel, because those are, as I said, they literally works like layers. And by doing so, we know that they also have the same thickness, which is really, really cool. And all we have to do here is to make sure that we move that back to the outside. So
there
we perform the same effect. Perfect.
That is such an excellent hack for making a rainbow or just making any design where you need like a good solid kind of succession of strokes and lines and stuff like that without doing something. For example, I'm sure a lot of people have tried to achieve this look by stacking just different color shapes maybe and cutting the center out. But this was so quick and it's totally precise. And it's then very fast around
the shape. So whenever you move the shape, you literally have one shape.
Yeah.
And then if you are, first of all, you can save these as an effect. So if you have many things to which you have actually applying that, you can also transform that into a graphic style. So again, if you head to our window and select graphic style, you can simply click on the plus icon. So now we have another window here and we wanted to have a style the same. Well, no problem, because we don't have to do anything. Just click on the graphic style and boom, here it is.
That's
so
amazing.
You can literally multiply this effect as many times as you want, because it's all an appearance effect. And that also means that if at any time, again, your client comes up and be like, listen, I don't really like the way that the black looks like, you can just simply go ahead and hide it. So it's still there. You can toggle between its visibility. Maybe that's not the best contrast against the pasteboard. Let me just go ahead and use this one here, and let's zoom in so everybody can see what we're doing here. Again, as I said here, you can simply use the eye icon to toggle the visibility. Those are live effects, so they're all editable, and that's why it's so cool to work with the panel here. Now, the reason why I say that I like to keep these messy board, and I'm just gonna go ahead and make it bigger. That's another cool thing, that you can change the size of your artboards as you go. I need more space. That's why I started by designing with walls, because I do tend to use a lot of space and work in a kind of larger scale. What I'm going to do here is also show you how you can achieve this look in a different way. So I'm just going to go ahead, select all these different strokes and click on the bin icon to bin them all. We don't want them. And what I'm going to do here is to show you how to create a shape that it sits outside. Although this is going to take a little bit more of time, is worth mentioning, you can offset the path. So you can go ahead and select your object menu at the very top. And then by selecting path, make sure that your path is selected. You can select offset path. And in this case, we're going to give it a value of 20 pixel. And you can go ahead and click on OK. And you see that automatically here we have created a brand new path that is sitting behind our path. If we go ahead and select the fill, it will have the same fill. Now, the problem is that here we do not have the same flexibility of changing the actual size. We will have to go back and do that again and maybe replicate it and do offset it over and over again. While here with the strokes, you can just simply click on the point size and make it bigger if you wish to do so, or just edit it. So the power of working with the appearance panel is that really you keep things editable. And then again, if you're not happy with it, and if you want to make sure that everything is back into a shape, you can always create a copy and then head to the object menu, select path. And because all of these are strokes, if you select outline stroke, you will be able then to simply have the stroke outline it there. Okay. Probably before doing so, in order to make sure that each single one of them becomes a shape, we're going to go ahead and select object and expand the appearance of the object. So that is remember, whenever you have an appearance and you want to make sure that it is expanded into an actual shape, so whatever is the effect that is visible is it gets transformed into a vector. And perhaps that has even more sense if we jump back into the outline. If I go back into the outline, as I say before, that's the reason why I like to work with that, is because the outline mode deletes all sorts of appearance that is there in our images. So as you can see, we just have our simple stroke, no matter what the appearance is there. But if we now go ahead into object and select expand appearance, we now transformed all our appearances stroke into vector, and therefore they will appear in our outline. And if we switch back into our preview mode, we can see now that they also pretty much look the same, but they will not be editable anymore, but you can treat them as a single shape. So again, you can enter the isolation mode if you wish to edit them, and you can change the colors because those are pretty much a brand new live shape that you have created from the appearance panel.
Nice.
So you can use that both ways. And I just always like to start from the appearance panel to maintain the flexibility, and then head back and expand the appearance. And I always tend to make a copy just to make sure that I keep everything until I'm happy with the design.
I love it.
So, there is any question, or we can keep going with this?
I don't think we have any questions in the chat, but we did get some votes for Team Squiggly. We also have Stony saying that she is going to definitely be playing with the properties box more. And you reminded her of some design points that she totally forgot about. Sin Lagos is in the chat. It's good to see you, Sin. Thank you so much for joining us. Sin is like all the colors of the rainbow, love. Yes, indeed. We are creating a portal of love, which I think is appropriate, and it's super cute, and I hope to have this sticker one day because it's great. I know they're Instagram stickers, but I also want one to like put on a laptop or something because it's just so cute. It's too cute.
That's an idea. That's an idea.
Sticker sheet.
So what we can do here now is to hide part of this our wheel, which, as I said, tomorrow we're gonna make it spin around in Photoshop behind our little white mask that is here. I think that there is actually, I think that I forgot a stroke because after
I think you did it in reverse is all. So in the first portal, the black and brown were right on the edge of the portal.
I think is the correct way.
Yeah.
Well, we're working the appearance panel, so all we're left to do is to just, again, they work like layers. So I'm just gonna bring it, bam, bam, just like so, making sure that now I got the right thing. So Val, I think I need some help because
so you want to on the bottom, you want it to be black and then brown, yeah, and then blue, pink, and white.
Yeah, perfect. So if you could either change the color, which probably would have made more sense. In this case, I just wanted to be fancy and show you that you can swap them around. So I swapped them around, and then all I'm left to do now is to make sure that I have the thickest one sitting at the bottom. As I said, this works like layers. So whatever is sitting at the bottom is actually displayed behind. So of course, we need to be larger. And I think that we do need another one, which is our white. So I'm going to make 100 point, and I'm going to set there at the back, and then maybe we can add a stroke once we outline it. So everything is pretty much ready to go. Again, all we have to do is to select it, and then head to the object menu and expand the appearance. So we have our little boxes there ready to go. Now, one more thing here is that we want to create the main portal. So again, we want to use the main little shape, so we can go ahead and delete all the arrows. I love the flexibility of using the appearance panel. We can use that to mask. So again, we got rid of all the strokes very quickly from the appearance panel, selecting them and clicking on the bin icon. And then here you want to make sure that whatever shape or graphic or image you have, or images that you have that you want to hide and use inside a clipping mask, are grouped, because that's the question that I get so many times when I put any tutorials outside. People are like, every time that I go and try to group, it doesn't work. It gives me an error. It only displays part of it. So let me show you. If I go ahead and ungroup this little circle here, so see now I can select each one of these elements individually, and then I bring on top my little window and I click and drag on top of them, and I use the command 7. Oh, it actually worked. Usually it doesn't work. I don't know if it's been grouped again or if it's part of the same path, but it usually does give you an error the majority of the time. So make sure that you do group them. That is a workaround if you do get the error. I was trying to crash Illustrator, but Illustrator is actually more clever than me. So if you do have the issue, make sure that you group them. You need to have a compound path or a grouped shape. That's probably because that was part of the shape that we divided. So that could be why Illustrator is being like, hey, I know that's the same thing, but if you do incur into the error, make sure to group them or use a compound path, and that will be the workaround for you to then create the mask. And by the way, for those of you that don't know what's going on here, the way in which I create a mask is by overlaying any shape. And again, here you can only use one shape as a mask, and make sure that it's sitting on the top of the element that you would like to mask. Everything that sits outside the shape, so it's basically like a reverse cutout. Everything that is outside will be hidden, and everything that is sitting directly under the mask will come through. So it's almost like whenever we punch things with a cutter, everything that we punched in and we make cookies, the shape is actually going to come through, and everything that is underneath will be hidden. So select both of the grouped items and the mask, and then use the Command 7 or Control 7 if you're working on Windows machine in order to mask them. Now, the reason why I say hidden and not deleted is because if we double click inside the mask, you will see that the shape is very much there. You can move it around. Tomorrow we're also going to make it spin, and you can also resize it. So if you click and drag on one of the corner of the bounding box of the original image, you will be able to edit it as much as you want. And then click outside in order to exit the isolation mode. And what we'll have to do here is to make sure that we have we can bring back our portal in the middle of our little window that we had there. Now click and drag on top of all these items in order to group them. Press the Command G shortcut, and here we have our portal of love. All we're left to do is to create a stroke. And again, because we have outlined our little stroke there, all I have to do is to select my last one, which is the white, and we can give it a little bit of a stroke just to make sure that if it's against the white background, it just kind of stands out. Here it is. So we just give a little bit of a stroke there, and then all we're left to do is to have all these little magic little stars, which are the sort of theme. And that's something that I suggest when you're creating illustration that have different elements. So those are different illustration that we're aiming to work with in these 2 days. You can go ahead and expand and explore your techniques, but always choose something that then kind of ties everything together. And for me, in these different, although there are different styles, all that I use are these little stars. These little stars, by being on top of each one of the design, just create a recognizable item that then you can use over and over alongside your illustration to create a sense of consistency and continuity in between the illustrations or your designs, although they actually maybe say different things, just different color palettes or maybe different techniques. So let's go ahead and let me show you how you can very easily create these stars. There are two schools, the circle or the square. Doesn't really change. People do it into different ways. And again, you can do it from the appearance panel or from the menu bar. I'm going to show you both because why not? So let's go ahead and click on the M key if you want to use the little square, or the Shift key to create a perfect square rather than a rectangle, and press the letter L if you wish to use an ellipse, and press the Shift key if you wish to create a perfect circle. And we do need a perfect circle and a perfect square to start with our stars. Then I'm going to show you the square from the window menu. So here, if we go ahead and select Effect, and then from here, Distort and Transform, we will be able to access the pucker and bloat, which is going to give us the opportunity to pucker our lids, like we're pulling the corner of our square, and very easily and quickly we can create the star. Of course, if we pucker, we create a flower, but in the other ways, sorry?
Or a clover, a 4-leaf clover. Very lucky. Oh, I love it. That's another just like very quick and easy. So you don't really, I think, have to come in and do the tedious work of trying to draw or shape all of these fun shapes. There's some really quick and easy ways that will work well with like kind of a dynamic workflow to just get those in really quick. So you don't have to spend all the time trying to make it perfect. So this is great. This is good pro tip.
And also because here, as I said, the appearance panel just kind of stores, as you can see, if we head back into the preview mode, I know that I'm going to do this over and over again, but I think it's so important for you to understand how graphic works and the power of appearances in Illustrator. That's still a square. So all we have to do is we applied an appearance. So something that makes it look like a star. It ain't a star yet. It's still a square. In fact, the beauty of that is that you can keep experimenting while you are working with the appearance panel. I'm going to go back and press Command Y or Control Y to go in the normal preview. And in fact, if we use the little eye icon here, we can toggle the visibility of the effect that we have applied. And in fact, if I hide the pucker and bloat effect, we can just nice and quickly go back into our square. And another thing here is that we can also change our little star to have rounded corners if we wish to do so. And usually if you align it to the outside, you will have a little bit more of an outline shaped there. And again, we can do the same for our little circle. I don't know if that actually work if we create a style from the square to the circle. I'm actually experimenting. So I'm going to go ahead here into my graphic styles, and I'm going to go ahead and select my square where I have the stroke and the pucker and bloat effect applied to. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the plus icon to create the new style. I'm going to select on the circle and apply this style, and boom, it works. So again, this is the same effect. As I said, you can also create that directly from the appearance panel. So if you're starting from a circle, you have access to the effect menu here at the bottom. Again, that's exactly the same, distort and transform, pucker and bloat, and then just simply drag the cursor to the left in order to add whatever shape you want. Now, the beauty of keeping the appearance live is that at any time, if you want to create stars that are a little bit more pointy, you can double click on them. Remember, if you go ahead and apply a different effect, it's going to try to overlap multiple effects, and that's usually incurs into Illustrator headache. So what you want to do to make it nice and smooth is to simply head to the appearance panel and double click on the effect. And by doing so, you will be able to edit the effect that you actually have already applied. Gotcha. So make sure to do so and click on OK. And then if you wish to expand, if you're happy with what you've done, again, object and then expand appearance is the way to go. And now if we press our Command Y or Control Y to enter our preview, from the preview to the outline mode, now we see that this is actually a star, while here we still have a circle and a square. So let's go back into our preview mode. And now what we're left to do is to press the letter X to bring our stroke to the foreground, and we can apply a white color to the stroke. It looks like that here, what I've done is to expand it with the stroke already applied. So maybe let's go ahead and do that first. So I'm going to make the stroke white and then expand it just like so. So now we have our little star. You can use the Option key in order to create a duplicate. Let's bring back this into the pasteboard so we can see them against a gray background. And I use the Shift key in order to distort them. In order to scale them proportionally. If you wish to distort them, which is completely fine because stars come in all shapes and size, you can go ahead and just simply click on the corner of the bounding box in order to change their shape. I like to keep them all different so they can just look a little bit more authentic. So it's not just a copy and paste, which in reality, that's what we're doing, but then we are taking the time to edit them in order to create a little bit more of movement within our illustration. And here it is, our portal of love is done, and it's time for illustration number 2.
It's so cute, Kladi. It is so adorable. And I do like what you said about, like, you know, the stars come in all different shapes and sizes, and I really love that you're not afraid to kind of break the border there with how you're placing it. I think it does really look a lot more dynamic than just placing it in the open spaces in the portal. It's very cute. And also I have to say, personally, one of my favorite things to like embellish my graphic design projects with are stars just like this. They're just too adorable to pass up. So this is great. What do we have to choose from next, by the way?
So before we move forward, I just want to show you something because you brought my attention there. So I think if I'm gonna go ahead and zoom in, and by the way, whenever someone works with me, so that's when the Kladi that nobody sees, I'm obsessed with zooming in. So you see that here I tend to like zoom even on the tool back and forth into my screen because I want you to show you things. But whenever I'm working, you know, I'm here with my video editor or other people that are part of my team, they will probably tell you Kladi is obsessed with zooming. Like I literally work like that. Like I'm really, really obsessed, and things like that, my eyes will catch it. It's probably because when I was young, I played a lot of, you know, those I don't know
like
what they're called in English.
The I Spy things?
I don't know what are they called, but like are the sort of holiday books where you have a lot of games that you can like, you need to find words within like a square with a lot of letters, or you have to spot the difference. Yeah. Kind of crosswords, or like stuff where you have to spot the difference, all those sort of like old school paper, like very cheap recycled paper and black ink sort of magazine that I used to have, and that I used to spend my time with. And I think that my eyes really got trained into spotting difference and picking up very many details by playing with them. So this is something that usually would be a big no-no for me, is either go bold or go home. So something that is so tiny, I will tend perhaps to overlap it.
Yep.
Just because then whenever you are cutting or printing, those tiny details can give you issues that are not worth having because you cannot see it. So if I go back and I zoom out, you could barely see it. In fact, I didn't see it until you actually mentioned that it was outside, which I was happy with the location. But then I saw, hey, we have a little bit of that brown that might create smudges, and you know, if we want them to outline, can give us some issues. So just go ahead and move it, or allow the brown to show, so it makes sense of that positioning being there.
And that's a great point what you said with the smudging, because like if you're going to print this out and then if you zoom back into that little space there where the brown was peeking through, having a tiny little piece of brown there next to the white and a very, very light blue, once that comes right up off the press from being printed, you're right, that could smear, and then it would be super noticeable because it's next to so much brightness right there. So covering that not only I think makes the piece look cohesive, but it, you know, you're thinking into the future, the transformation of what this product could be, as far as, you know, what does it become when you're done designing it, and how is that process going to go smoothly as well. So you're like big brain thinking for the future of this. And then also,
if you're ever working with someone like Kladi, you will have a lot of love and appreciation if you pick up these sort of things. Because like whenever I'm working, I'm producing a new LinkedIn course now, and I'm working with my video editor, and he's actually like, I'm so obsessed with this sort of stuff that I think that I made him even more obsessed. So he's actually spotting, like, is now like geared into finding my mistakes. So, you know, sometimes I get a message, oh, Kladi, by the way, I've noticed that there is like this
there's 4 blue pixels.
And I love it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, bringing donuts tomorrow.
Love it.
Like, love it.
You guys are vibing for sure.
Absolutely. So thumbs up if you ever send me any graphics and you're actually taking consideration those details. Like, that makes my heart grow bigger suddenly.
I love
but
it.
Let's move on and let's go back into, let's make sure to press Command S or Control S to save, although we're working with a cloud document. So these kind of things get saved as we go, which is another beautiful pros of working with our document cloud, our Creative Cloud. And I'm going to go ahead and also bring this design back into our sort of final artboard here, where I can go ahead and just resize it by holding the Shift key and making sure that that fits. Oh my gosh, we've been so precise that it actually, we can make it fit just nicely there. And if you perhaps want to fit your work into the artboard, what I tend to do here is to make sure that at least either the height or the width fits whatever is the design that I'm doing. Make sure to select all elements, then group them before to keep moving them around. So in this case, you can either match the width or the height. I decided to match the width, but then to have an artboard that fits perfectly my design, you can go ahead and click on the artboard tool and then simply click on top of your design. And by doing so, you will automatically create an artboard that fits your design.
Fancy. So now you don't have to be like me and like dragging and undoing and trying to make things perfect and dragging in the corners. You can just do it real quick. You're so fast, Kladi. Literally, like I love watching your streams, but being the host for one of your streams, I feel like I am a sponge right now. And the moment I get off of the stream, I am going to go use Illustrator and I'm going to be 50% faster at it.
Trust me, the feeling is absolutely mutual. I'm a big fan of your Photoshop challenges, and also we have why not, let's mention our shows, because we are two ladies having our single shows here at Adobe Live.
Let's do it. Tell us about your show, where, you know, what it's all about, what you do for your show.
I don't even know how to show it here. Probably the best is to go somewhere on Adobe Live. But the show that I have that there's been bi-weekly, I think it's going to be either bi-weekly or coming back weekly, is called How To. And it's here at Adobe Live, and How To is How To graphic design. So it's 101 graphic design. You can find many replays of all the show. We learned how to create gradients, how to create posters, how to design for print, how to do anything in graphic design using InDesign, Illustrator, and Photoshop. So this is a brand new show that came out with this year here at Adobe Live, and I was super excited to host. And we're going to come back during the summer with many more episodes. So let me know in the chat as well if you have any specific desire to learn how to do your favorite things in in this wonderful app in graphic design. And I will be more than happy to take notes and use this time to take notes so I can build a new episode tailored for your needs. What about your show?
So my show is called Graphic Glow Up. And it's like, I guess like the glow up term is kind of like a meme, but that's, I meant, for it to be that way. It's a show where all of you folks are invited to come and participate in a project with me that we put together like the day of, and it should be coming back weekly during the summer, the same time that your show comes back. So we'll be on around the same time. And it is not only a show where you can go and like get in some practice if you don't know what you want to work on, but you need to work on something you want to improve. You get a little assignment from me, and it's also an exploration of all of Adobe's wonderful resources. So every time we do a project, we always take something from at least one thing from Adobe Stock or Adobe Fonts or Adobe Color to incorporate live into our project. And it is also a reminder that you are making progress even when you're not creating something that's about to go into a case study for your portfolio. Every moment that you sit and work on something is moving forward, and you should be proud of that. So we also give ourselves awards at the end of each show based on what we worked on, so that we have a visual representation of progress and positivity rather than thinking, well, I didn't put it in my portfolio, so I must not be moving forward. So it's a celebration of you and a celebration of design. And I'd love to see you all there.
Amazing. And I want to just take a second here to share with everybody the beauty of the amazing work that the folks at Adobe Live do here. If you jump on behance.net/live and just scroll down, you see all the amazing streams that are live every day. There is so much creativity, so much knowledge, so much fun going on every single day. So you will be able to watch all the replay. I was looking for the thumbnail of How To is by, easy to find. And also yours, I think they're all purple, right? I was looking for one.
They're like dark purple. There was one a couple of weeks ago on gradients, but yeah, they're like dark purple. This is weird, but there is a big octopus on the cover of it. But they're fun. And that's just that you're scrolling through on the behance.net/live page. So I've noticed a lot of people say this, and I didn't realize that a lot of people didn't know this, but if you're watching on Behance right now, this is all right below the video player. If you scroll down, not only are all the replays there, but they're all categorized by subject matter. So all of the graphic design, all of the UI UX. So you can really easily get through there and look around. And I feel like I've seen a lot of people who are like, I didn't even know all these categories were under there. I just watched the stream and then go. But there's a whole bunch of stuff on this page.
Yeah, so make sure to go ahead. And there are so many replays both on Behance and on YouTube, challenges. And, we have Kyle Webster with brushes. And, there is so much. I don't even know and how could I possibly mention everything that goes on here at Adobe Live without saying that there is a lot of fun while learning how to use the apps and how to express yourself using
100%. 100%.
So,
and I mean, How To, last point about your show, How To, I think every single time I go to watch that show or watch the replay, there's at least one moment where I'm like, what? You can do that? So you really, if you haven't been watching How To, you're missing out and you got to see it.
The feeling is mutual, my friend. I love that we watch each other's shows. That's just so funny. Perfect. So I think it's time to choose illustrations number 2 for today before the time's right now. Just leave the time. Oh
I know
gosh.
we have
Time
about
goes too fast.
maybe 30 minutes left before we have to take off. So chat, I think you wanted chat to choose,
Yes.
right? Which is our next Instagram sticker that we're going to be working on. I can scroll through when we asked before, but please throw some ideas into the chat and we will choose which one seems to be the most popular. But earlier we had obviously some votes for the love portal, but there was also some love in the chat for the heart. A lot of people liked the heart as well. So that would be a good one. Cody says top left rainbow. I think my personal vote next is for the rainbow as well. But let's see what else we get. I think Stony says I agree for the rainbow.
So maybe let's see if we can do both. The rainbow is going to take a little bit. So I have them like in split of time, depending on what section we were doing.
Well, which one's quicker? Yeah.
So the love, the little love here is definitely quicker, but maybe we could do the rainbow just in time, which I think we can use it for tomorrow. Are you animating tomorrow? Yes, Becca, we're animating tomorrow. Of course, we can continue designing. Yeah, so we have 3 for the Archie rainbow. So let's go ahead and develop the Archie rainbow here.
Okay, let's do it.
And then if we have time, I can squeeze in the heart real quick. So the Archie rainbow here, it was just my representation. And that was like my very first illustration that I was trying to, brainstorm here. And again, it was just a way of bringing the pride flag into a more, in my own worlds. And I love rainbows. And some of my friends call me rainbow jelly because I'm softy and colorful. I like rainbows all over. I think that the matte entrance of my studio is actually a rainbow as well. So I just thought, why not to integrate the rainbow and the flag together? So before we get started,
I think you really did a great job. It's very cool. Like, it looks great.
Yeah. And you'll see how easy it is as well. So I'm going to delete it real quick. Before we move forward, what I wanted to show you here is that the way that I use layers when I create mini projects. So when I create a document that contains multiple projects, I tend to use a layer per mini project. So in general, otherwise whenever I use a document, I tend to split layers based on the content. So one will be colors, the other will be work in progress, the other will be final design. Whenever I work with different mini projects like that, when I have a self-contained illustration, I like to have layers where actually I can contain the single illustration. And that's also a workflow that I've applied based on the new integration of the interoperability. That's a very big word. I can't believe I actually say that. Interoperability between Illustrator and Photoshop, because now we'll be able to import layers inside Photoshop as they are displayed into Illustrator. So it's something, again, you always want to create fit for purpose. So always try to think ahead, what is your final goal? And because I know that those are going to be heading into Photoshop tomorrow, I want to make sure that when I go into Photoshop, it will be a mess. Imagine if each single project will be split into different layers. It will make much more sense if we actually have layers that contain the project. So I'm going to go ahead and call this layer the Love Portal. So tomorrow when we're going to be jumping into Photoshop, we're going to have a full container for our Love Portal. And also, I'm going to go ahead and create a work in progress, which is going to be my main work in progress bin, where I can go ahead and chuck everything that doesn't get used into the final. So I'm just going to go ahead and paste it into the work in progress. And then I can go ahead and lock my final work for the Love Portal. So that's there, nobody's gonna mess with it, and we can just go ahead and move on and jump and work with my rainbow flag. So let's move these items away so we can enlarge our messy board here, a messy artboard for our rainbow. Now,
in the chat has a question for you real quick, asking what helps you with your ideas for stickers. So like, how did you find inspiration? Where did you look? And what does your process look like when you sat down and came up with these?
So again, street art stickers and street art goes a long way. I don't know if I'm gonna disappear here probably a second to show you something. Let's see if I can do that.
If you want to snag something real quick, go for it.
I've always made stickers. So those are some of the stickers that I made. This one says fresh. I don't know.
Oh, I love it. Yes.
Or some of them have my initials. So I've always created stickers. And tomorrow, I'm actually going to take a note because otherwise it's just going to be a little bit too messy today. I used to go around city and take stickers out of the streets. So like I literally have a booklet for Paris, a booklet for New York, where I take other artist stickers.
Oh yeah, that tag stickers around. Yeah.
So I observe a lot. And of course, I go online and, I will look into my Pinterest board. I look what other people do on Behance. But, behind me is the main answer. I look at books. I'm old school. I like to see books. And I think that you can, really have a little bit of a diverse look rather than just simply seeing what is online. So for example, if we look at our portal, it's something that you can see online over and over again. If you look at our rainbow, it's something that is a little bit of an old school way of doing graphics. And that's why perhaps my style is so mixed up because I have different references. But again, observing, looking, that's what I always say, like, I don't create anything. I just repurpose ideas. And I've been calling myself for the longest time, visual translator or visual communicator, because my main goal is to communicate with the use of the visuals and the graphics. I haven't created a rainbow. I haven't created a portal. I'm not the first one drawing a star. So I don't, I observe a lot and I try to repurpose based on what I have to communicate.
I love it. I love that so much. And Nikki says, my business card is a sticker, which I love.
Perfect.
I just think that's awesome. So yeah, We're going to need some of those business cards, Nikki. We're going to need them.
Yeah. So here, what we have to do before we get started is to make sure that we click on the three dots located at the bottom of the toolbar in order to bring up our super cool extra tools. And you can go ahead either and select your advanced options if you want, or you can just simply go ahead and select our Polar Grid, which is the tool that we're going to be using today. You can also go ahead and click and drag in order to add it inside your toolbar. So you can also personalize your toolbar as well, as long as we did the same way as we did for our workspace. You can see now that our Polar Grid is not active anymore in the main tool selection, and we have actually added it inside our toolbar when it wasn't there. So here it is. And this is the main tool that we're going to be using for our rainbow. Now, if I click and drag into with our Polar Grid, we can see right away what this looks like. It allows you to divide a circle into different into a grid. There we go. That's probably the best way to get out of it. And what we're going to do here is to double click on it in order to access its option, exactly like we did for our pencil tool. And what I want to make sure here is that the concentric dividers are going to be 6. Again, that's going to be the color, the different color of our main flag, like we did for the center of our portal. And a radial divider. In this case, we don't need any radial divider, because all we need are the arches for our rainbow. So I'm going to go ahead and set the dividers to 0. And all I have to do is to click on OK. And now nothing happens, because those are the options before we set up the tool. Now all we have to do is to click and drag and hold the Shift key in order to create a circle that is already divided into other 6 different circles. So again, super quick. We like to work nice and easy here. And then I'm going to go ahead and press the letter M to activate the rectangle tool. I'm going to click and drag, making sure that I have my smart guides that are telling me where my center for my circle is located. Again, you can always switch into your outline mode to see if you're actually hitting the center there. And then all we're left to do is to select them both by pressing the letter V on your keyboard and click and drag on both your Polar Grid and your rectangle. And we're going to be using our shape builder tool, which is located here on the toolbar, which will allow you to click on top of shape in order to create new shapes, or also to use the option key in order to access the erase mode of your shape builder tool, and that will allow you to erase shapes. So if we go ahead and select them both, activate the shape builder tool, we will be able to, you can see right away, to see this little preview of the shape that we can create. So I'm going to go ahead and click once in order to activate these main shapes that we want to create. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 for our arches. So I don't need this inner one. So I'm going to go ahead and press the letter. So I'm going to go ahead and press the Option key. That will be Alt if you're working on Windows. And you'll see that the plus, which allows you to add the shape or create a new shape, will transform into a minus, which is the erase option of your shape builder tool. And by either clicking and dragging or whatever you want into your shapes, you will be able to erase any unwanted shape. So we're now left with a grouped rainbow. Again, it took 2 minutes, 3 minutes to do the rainbow. We are pretty much nearly there. So what I'm left to do now is to create other side of the rainbow that will allow me to have that little drop effect. And I'm just going to bring it up. So it's nice to have a reference of what we're doing. And that's why, as much as my sketches aren't pretty, it's always good to have some sort of sketches that will show you what you want to do. Just again, to have a reference of seeing where you're going with it. And again, it's also the case to experiment what is the best workflow. So what I'm going to do here is to create rectangles of the same size of my little arch there. Again, we have our smart guides selected that allows really quick to show you what is the correct size. If they don't show up, those are these purple lines that tell you pretty much, hey, you are intersecting right there. That's the perfect size. If they don't show up in your machine, you can always head into view and make sure that your smart guides are selected. I also call them the smart guys.
The smart guys?
Yes, they're there to help you.
I love
your
it.
friends. Or you also can use that Command U or Control U shortcuts to make sure that those are active there. Perfect. Then what I'm going to do here is again zoom in order to select it and hold the Option key or the Alt key on Windows in order to create a copy. And you will see it was locked automatically in position thanks to the smart guides. Now all I'm left to do is to use the Command D or Control D in order to create a copy and duplicate of what I've just done. Ooh. So what we're going to do here, we have our extensions of our rainbow that we're going to use to create that little drop that we had into our little shapes before. And then you can give it as much movement as you want. I like to keep things, as I said, asymmetric. I think that just gives it a little bit more of a fun rhythm. You can do as much as you want in terms of creating, whatever shapes you like, whatever size you want, to create as much as a drop as you prefer. And then all I have to do here is to use what we did before, our little corner widget tool by selecting them, press the letter V, and then you can also select, let's see if we can select all of them here from all these shapes.
Oh my gosh, can you do it that way?
Yes, we can. I think that you can actually just simply use the direct selection tool. Yes. With the direct selection tool, if you go over and select just those points and then click and drag, because now those are all active, you just click and drag on one. Again, we are using the direct selection tool. That is the white arrow instead of the black arrow. That will allow you access to the anchor point. So then now that they are selected, you can go ahead and simply click on one in order to make sure that we have the same behavior for all of them.
That's so fast. It's again, I'm sorry. I'm just sitting here like, what, how, the whole stream.
And now we're going to push those just so they are in line with our little rainbow. And then I'm going to select them all. I'm just going to make a copy just in case. I might have a feeling that we need it for the other side as well. So it's always safe to create a copy just before we
because the shape of that other portion.
I think we need to add a little bit more, although maybe we don't need all of that. We'll see.
Just a tiny bit. So
be safe. Let's create copies. I always have copies of things. And now we can go ahead and select them all, and we can head to our properties panel and go back to our Pathfinder friend. In this case, we're going to use Unite. Probably not right now. Actually, in order to use Unite, we will have to click on each single one of them. So you can either go ahead and choose the group selection tool and choose each one of these grouped element. There we go. So you can unite each single one of them just like so, or we can go back and select them all and use our Pathfinder tool again, just to unite the one that we want to join, which is basically going to be quick. Each circle per each curve on top. And much nearly there. What we're doing in time. This is
beautiful. This was so we're doing let's see, we've got about, I would say 20 minutes left before we have to take off. I think everybody is just loving this in the chat. Becca is LOL Val's face. She is shook. Yes, I am. I am this whole time. I feel like people in the chat are just like learning from you and looking at me like Val's mind is blown right now.
Well, be the same way if we're working in Photoshop, I'm sure. And I can see my mom in the chat. Mom, what are you doing? Go to sleep.
Oh,
what time is it? It's
mother.
like 11:30 in Italy.
Hello.
Go to sleep. Ciao, mama. She's be there like, hi. She used to write. I think that you were a moderator when she was writing in Italian or something.
I did not. I'm so glad that your mother is here, though, because I did not know that was your mom. And I kept posting warnings. And then right after I removed her,
and
then
you
were like,
understand, don't worry.
You were like, it's my mom. And I was like,
and
I feel awful. I banned Kladi's mom.
Don't worry. Don't worry. She knows you. She loves you. She watches your stream as well. We watch it together when I'm in Italy.
Well, I love her too. I think she's great. Well, thank you for joining us.
They actually love to learn Photoshop. They actually use Photoshop, like especially now with the neuro filler and colorizing stuff.
Yeah.
They're much more like Photoshop users, although they're like in their late 70s.
That's amazing.
I can say that because she doesn't understand. So she doesn't. Later on,
telling us secrets.
Sorry, Mom.
No.
Yes. Right. So we can do the same here. And in this case, I feel we could just simply go ahead and let's see if we can unite this single shape over here. And we're just going to drop it there. At the moment, I'm just going to go ahead and use the rectangle tool just to create a rectangle there in order to chop all the drops because we do not need them there. So all we're left to do here is to use our little shape builder tool so we can get rid of all the bits that we don't need. And we just leave that little shape there that we can use with our rectangle. So at the moment, this is just a separate shape. Let's see how we go. Sometimes I just like to experiment and see where this takes us, but I feel that will be absorbed by that triangle. So let's see. I'm going to go ahead and select my rectangle tool, and then by clicking and holding we can go ahead and select the star tool, and by clicking and dragging inside the artboard here with our star tool, we can then use the arrows from the keyboard in order to change the number of sides of our stars, and that's going to bring us into a triangle. To make the triangle straight, hold the shift key and you can see that automatically that will turn your triangle so it's ready and in position. Don't forget here also, I think that's something that is important to remind. Again, you do not have to, but if you are a little bit obsessive like me in terms of keeping things consistent, because we're making everything rounded, I'm going to go ahead and round these bottom of the corner as well. It just gives an idea. That was quite unhappy here when I realized that the sides were in, everything was already split and colored and they weren't rounded. I was like, no, it's not rounded, but it's a great reminder to also do it afterwards. So we can go ahead and use that shape for our rectangle. And here we can either use the appearance panel to create strokes, or we can go ahead and explore the other tool that we didn't really dive in before, which is a offset path. In order to offset the path, I think 20 pixels is more than enough. For this one, we're going to click on OK and do that, I believe, 4 times. Well, can you help me out to remember how many do we have to do?
I think it was 6. Oh, no. It was 4. It was 4 because we had
a
black, brown, blue, and pink.
Yes. And then we have the white inside.
The white, yeah.
So in total, they probably have to be 5. So we have 1, probably going to offset in the other direction. So I'm just going to create one more here. Whenever you offset with a positive number, you will see that the shapes become bigger than the one that you created before. Well, in this case, if you want to make a smaller one, you can go back to the smaller shapes and then head to the path, offset path, and give it a negative value. So in this case, -20, that will bring us in. So just going to make a smaller shapes, and probably I'm going to do it one more time because I think that we have room to add a little bit of a smaller one, and then we can see how many do we have. And as you can see, those settings are sticky, so it's very fast whenever you work because they will retain the last transformation that you've added. So I just have to go there and click on OK because it just remembers that I've used the -20 points. So let's see, this one will be the black, brown, cyan, pink, and white. So perfect, we can get rid of one. Now I'm going to go ahead and click and drag over those, hold the shift key in order to deselect and I'm not holding the shift key, by the way, I was holding cap locks. That's why I wasn't working. In
I
order
do that
to
all the time.
yes, deselect the one that we don't need. And we can just simply place this wherever we want. I just kind of like to have, well, let's push it to the very top. Just want to cut one of the corners there. And maybe here as well, we can just go ahead and make all our corners rounded all at once. Just look how groovy is that. I love it.
That is super.
So cool.
That looks awesome. I feel like I want an animation of like the colors moving like that. That's so cool.
We'll see what we can do tomorrow with this. Now, kind of feeling bad of not having had the stripes going down. And thankfully, we saved our little shapes there, because here we will need to have our rectangles going. I think it's just maybe this one and this one over there. Let's see if there is a workaround here. So what if you actually had deleted them? Maybe we can use the pen tool to add a point. So if we go ahead and select our path here, which is the one that we would like to make longer, we can press the letter P to activate the pen tool. And you see if we have a little plus, which allows us to create a new point. And by doing so, we can literally go ahead and make our path a little bit longer there. So we can go and create the rest of our little arch there. So we can just use this line. I think that will be enough because I only need one. So we can do the same over here, selecting our shape that we need to make longer, press the letter P, add a new anchor point and click and drag downwards just to make a vertical line. All we're doing here is to make sure that this path just kind of matches and goes and intersects our little triangle there. Now, looks like we are ready to go. All we're left to do is to click and drag over our shapes, and then we go to our little friend shape builder tool. So then we can create our shapes here. So we have our little part of the rainbow there that is active. Then we can go ahead and delete any of these areas that we don't want, just to make sure that our rectangle will display on top. And sometimes can be, a little bit of a headache to understand what goes where here, but don't worry, you can always undo. So for example, sometimes I click and drag and delete areas, but if you can press Command Z or Control Z, you can just simply go back and do what you've done. So it can be confusing. Just work very slowly, one bit at a time. And then what I tend to do is zoom in and zoom out to make sure that what I'm doing makes sense. And if it doesn't make sense, you can always undo it and go back to whatever you had before in order to then try again. And trust me, that happens many times. Here we go. I just haven't done that on purpose. We can pretend that it was done on purpose, but it wasn't. And what I've done here, just simply deleted all the areas that I didn't need and make sure that I've created simple shapes of the one that I needed here. Again, I do not need this little shape. Clearly I haven't zoomed in enough because we have this little corner that it was poking out. And in fact, look, that's the problem working. We have ended up having these double lines so close to each other. If we go into outline mode, you can see here, there are two lines, but in this case, we can just make sure that we bring it back into one. And looks like we are pretty much ready to go.
That is so clean and so cool.
Because this comes from an illustration, I like to make sure that it's nice and, a little bit organic. I haven't took much time in making sure that things are completely aligned there, which is fine. If you're looking to have an illustrative approach with your design. But again, completely up to you.
One of our triangles, by the way, I just noticed I think we had one more triangle in that space.
Yes.
There we go. Okay, cool.
You were right. And also what I tend to do when I create this shape is also to select the main shapes that I want and then move it around, because there's also tend to be copies. And as you can see, there are copies of elements that are there. So I'm just going to go ahead and press Command G, group in the main elements, and I can delete everything else that I don't need. And that tends to happen when you are creating and using the shape builder tool over and over again. Perfect. So all I'm left to do here is to use our magic group selection tool, which allows us to select single element within a group. And then I'm just going to head back to our color palette and assign a color to each one of the shapes that we have created here. So I'm just going to go ahead and follow the rainbow colors in order to apply the rainbow colors to this shape. Just like so. I think the next one is blue. And then we have the purple. And then for our triangles, I believe is black, followed by brown, I
I
think.
think from the
Brown.
inside of the triangle, it is black,
Oh,
brown, yeah, in reverse. So
are we sure?
from
Let me
the
go ahead.
inside, unless I saw the original one wrong.
No,
Oh
I
no,
think that
you're right.
yeah, I think that I swapped it on the portal. So you were right, because that's what I've done on the portal, but it was my interpretation of it, I would say.
But I think
that
it
for the
works on
flag,
the portal because it looks, it kind of incorporates the colors also into the border of the portal opening, so it looks really cool. And then I think this way lends itself here in its own way as well. So
yeah, I think that this is resembling more. It's almost like we stretched the flag, so that's why probably I was a little bit more faithful with the representation of the flag. So let's see if it looks like there is no shape in between here, so we missed a shape, but not to be afraid.
Gotcha.
We can always click inside, and here we go. We literally go ahead and created a fill, which now can be made pink. And again, like we did before, we can go ahead and click and drag over the shapes. If we want to just go ahead and select the stroke and give it a transparent feel, so we just have the colors there. And we're pretty much yes, 2 more steps to go before, so I think we are in perfect timing. Before doing a quick recap here, what I tend to do, especially when I'm creating stickers either for the web or to print, is to go ahead and select the entire illustration and create a copy by pressing Command C and Command F, so there is a copy pasted in front of it. And if you don't believe me, here it is. And what I'm going to do here is go ahead and use the Pathfinder in order to create a copy that is actually united to the design. So I'm just going to go ahead and move it and then go ahead and click on Unite to show you here what's going on. So what I've done is literally created a shape that only has the outline, and there are little bits sitting there. If I press the letter D to activate the default, they come a little bit more visible. Simply double click on them in order to access the shape, and then you can select them all and just simply press the delete key in order to delete the bits that you don't want. But I'm not very fast about them because we're just going to place this copy underneath in just a second. What I want to do here is to use the stroke again, as I said, by allowing it to the outside of the path, and I'm just going to give it a little bit of a, I think we're just going to use first white, and then we're going to go ahead into our appearance panel. Wherever is it gone? Probably I've hidden it there. Here we go. And then we can add another stroke outside and make these black. So remember, the one that is outside is going to be the one sitting below. And we're going to make this a little bit bigger. So now we have a white stroke that is outside the red, and then a black one. That's what I tend to do for stickers, just to make sure that they stand out. And again, you can just balance it out as much as you want. And what I would recommend is just then to be consistent whenever you're finished. And if you have stuff like that, stuff that pokes out, the first thing that you will have to do is to make sure that you have a rounded cap and rounded joints. So if there is any point that is there sticking out, you have them back into the shapes, or you could also just simply head into the anchor point and see which one are the different anchor points that are maybe creating you trouble. But it looks like that by rounding them up, we got rid of any issues that was there. And all we're left to do is to select this shape, which is basically the outline of the entire illustration, and then use the Command Shift left bracket, that will be Control Shift left bracket on a Windows, to bring this at the very back. And that will work as an outline for our little Archie rainbow, I think that we called it, or something like that. And again, don't forget to group your shapes, and all we're left to do now is to bring it into whatever was the size that we had for our illustration. As you can see here, we have a different stroke between the two. I kind of like a bit of a thicker stroke. It doesn't matter, we can worry about that tomorrow. Again, because those are live strokes, we have an alarm that you can always add into the appearance panel. Make sure to double click to enter, and then you can change either the portal or the rainbow in order to make sure that we have the sort of same weight, and you can actually get exactly the same weight between the two.
So we have about 4 minutes here before we are going to wrap up. So if you have any last minute things that you like, points you'd like to make, let's go ahead and go over those, and then maybe you can give us a recap of everything that we did. Let us know what we have planned for tomorrow and all that good stuff before we take off today.
Perfect. That sounds great. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish this off just to keep things nice and organized. As I said, I'm using this main artboard to have the general size. It looks like I'm using, I think for my design, I've used the height today I'm just using the width to keep the same proportions. And then I'm just going to go ahead and create a copy of my design. I just simply drag it outside, make sure that I group everything, and then use the artboard tool to create an artboard that actually fits my shapes here. Now, if you see that those bits are hanging out, is because I probably will need now to transform them and outline them. So I'm just going to go ahead into object and expand appearance. And now that we have transformed our stroke, because the actual artboard is going to fit the design based on the path. And as we've seen before, when we were toggling between outline mode and preview mode, the appearance is just an appearance. Is not, it doesn't exist. It's just something that shows for us to see, and therefore our artboard doesn't read. And now that we have outlined it, we have we'll be able just to click on it with the artboard tool, and we can create our little artboard that fits into our shape, into our path. Other thing here is to go ahead and use our little stars, because as I say, those are going to be the elements that will allow us some consistency within the different designs. So I'm just going to go ahead and use it from my work in progress, making sure to bring those to the top. And I'm just going to create different shapes, different stars here that are around my rainbow. You can change and distort them as much as you want. Maybe just try to bring them wherever there are darker colors, so you can have a little bit more fun. Do as many as you want. You can create new ones as well if you prefer. You can tilt them and twist them to whatever you like with them. And before we move forward, again, I think it's very important to do things which may look boring, but are also keep your files organized. Again, I'm going to go ahead and group this design, and I'm going to go to my layers panel and create a brand new layer, which I'm going to call Archie Rainbow. And then here, I'm going to make sure that I paste this design inside the new layer. So then tomorrow we know that we have this layer, which this design perfectly there. And then we have our work in progress that is just going to be there with our design that we used. So whenever we want to display, we can hide them. And here we will be able to lock and have access to each single one of our little stickers. So there are 2 stickers done, many more to go. Tomorrow, we're going to go ahead and work into these other, we're going to explore type, how to use type with shapes, how to blend type together, and how to create clouds, and a little bit of the classic 3D in order to create this isometric effect. And then we're going to jump into Photoshop, and we're going to decide how to animate these stickers in order to create GIF. And also, real quick before we say goodbye, don't forget tomorrow I'm also going to be able to give these files to you, so make sure to stick to the very end, because there is a gift coming up.
Yeah, okay. We do love gifts, so definitely tune in tomorrow. This was so much fun, Kladi. I had such a blast watching you. I feel like I learned so much from you for this show. And as Kladi said, we are going to be back tomorrow with part 2 at 12 p.m. Pacific time. So definitely tune in for that. But tomorrow, we are not the first stream of the day. If you definitely want to tune in for all of the other awesome content, including day 2 of the show with Torin from Kessa Design. If you didn't catch the earlier stream with him, definitely check the replays and check that out. But it's going to be a jam-packed, awesome day. I hope you folks will join us. Kladi, thank you again for designing for us, for sharing with us, for teaching us. It was an absolute pleasure. And yeah, where can everybody find you real quick? The best place on social media to find you.
I am Kladi at I am Kladi everywhere. So main place is Instagram. There are many tutorials coming up. We are preparing a lot. So if you want to go ahead and give me a follow or say hi on Instagram, that is the place where the content is going to drop really soon.
Perfect. Thank you all so much for joining us. We will see you tomorrow. Adios.
Thank
everybody.
you all. Thank you, everybody. Bye.